All right, hello, welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with Maddie B and Rick David on call. So, as I stated last week, we're away at a beach house. So, audio might not be up to snuff, but things should work out well enough. If I have to upload a later version, fixed audio, I will. But we're going to kick it off with the mailbag. A couple questions came in. Talking about the latest, the LaShawn McCoy thing, there was some speculation just about CTE. So I wanted to bring that in. Do you think CTE is going to show up, Matt, early on in players' careers now? Is it because they can't test for it? I think you really have to do an autopsy.
I think that it's going to be present with these accusations. You look at a lot of these younger coaches down through the youth ranks, maybe who don't have the experience or the credentials, that are just out there just pulling things that they think are going to make kids tougher and putting them through drills that maybe aren't the safest or the newest practices to use. So I think that probably a lot of these athletes are or have been for years, but it's just now coming to the forefront as the science and technology. So I do think it'll be there.
I think it's an NFL thing, sort of a propaganda, where anytime a player gets in trouble, gets arrested, they're just going to bring up CTE. They're not going to do it for other sports. I mean, we talked about it before. People get concussions all the time in soccer. If someone, remember what happened with Hope Solo? Whenever she beat her, there was a domestic abuse thing there. Someone, I don't know, a live-in partner or whatever. Did they ever print anything about CTE allegations against her? Hell no. Of course not, they didn't.
Well, and then to piggyback on that, it really didn't even it was news, but it wasn't blown to the proportions that a lot of these other cases are. And I think it's because there is a bias towards, if it's a woman abusing a man, that it seems like the media isn't as willing to make that stand for the equality as opposed to a man beating a woman.
Yeah, it's a tough. So I know, unfortunately, for the mailbag, we're going to start hearing about CTE all the time. Anytime someone gets in trouble, it's going to be brought up. So, good question. Rick, you want to add in on that or anything before we get to high tempo?
I mean, we talked about it about a year ago when they had that report come out that said, 99% of NFL players that they did the concussions, did the CTE scan had it. So then right after that, you saw Hawkins retire. And Urschel from the Ravens, retire within 12 hours. We're out of the NFL that quick. Two, you're smarter NFL players, and I'm using smarter as in the educational terms because both of them had their master's degrees at their point, so they got out. So they were going to use their educations. Urschel, I think, is going on for his doctorate still, and Hawkins is now working for ESPN as a commentator. So, and he does his own podcast on the side. So, I think you're going to keep seeing it. You're going to keep hearing it. We could go back years ago when Justin Strelzik went down a road and, when they said he had it in his truck and, he was doing speeding, then the truck exploded and he lost his life. Jerry Jurgensen shot himself. And that's really what, if you watch a concussion movie, that's really what started everything, That was the main thing. He passed away. Mike Webster was living in his car at one point. He had CTE. There's going to be numerous cases. There's going to be constant players coming out. It's one, that's one of the reasons why we keep losing NFL players that keep passing away early. So I think it's going to be the one thing you point to and one thing that's always happens. You look at professional wrestling, a lot of them died of drug overdoses. That's going to stay with them for years. If this wrestler dies before the age of 60, that we're going to say, it was a drug overdose if it's professional wrestling. Now I think it's going to be, if something happens in the NFL, they have CTE, because that study's out there that says 99% of them have it. So, it's too early to say. I know the police are investigating that thing. Let the police handle it. See what's true, what's false, what's happening, what's real. I know the Instagram post is out there. I know the Bills are already doing their investigation too. So
yeah, we're going to get into the details here.
And McCoy has denied everything. So
Yeah, we're going to get into details after the Skill City update, Rick. So,
But
Okay.
going back to the whole CTE issue, you look at the sports like for as popular as the MMA fighting has been, those are legit like kicks and punches to the head area without protection, and you're not seeing any reports going on for that. For with as much hype that goes into the Pacquiao Mayweather fights, you don't see anything about CTE for either one of those guys. They have all these reports that are dealing with like women's soccer and how their rate of CTE injuries is up a lot higher than sports in like football. I think it's people picking and choosing what they want to argue, and they want to try to spin this into football as a terrible sport. So I like that they're starting to have some other information out there now that's kind of saying it's not as bad as what people are making it out to be. And if we're gonna try to paint with a broad stroke, look at all sports, look at everything. I mean, if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, it's really easy to condemn just about anything if you want to spin it that way.
yeah. All right, let's kick into high tempo. I had something related. UCLA, they've been having a ton of trouble. They just had a player, I can't remember what sport, but he recorded some like tragic video saying for people that are suffering from like mental depression and stuff like that to get help, and then he killed himself. And it's just weird that UCLA, everyone always talks about LA being the place of only sunshine, and you go there and come on, you have hot chicks on campus, come to UCLA, have a great time. The guy was only in his 30s, and it's just weird. I don't know if it's a culture thing, but something's definitely happening because it's not the first incident they've had in the last few months. They've had a couple things like that, so very sad to see, and you hate to see it happen. You would think that someone that would record a video telling others to get help would take his own advice and try to get help before he did something like that. So, hate to point that out because I don't know if it was an attention grab, which is why I'm not giving his name, but we'll see. Matt, what do you got this week?
I was looking at over the 4th. Steve Keim, Arizona Cardinals GM, got arrested for DUI and lying about his identity. So he gets pulled over, and as the police are starting to ask him questions, he tells them that he's actually the head of security, trying to like use like I'm in law enforcement and you're law enforcement, so get me out of this. And it's just there's so many like lies and terrible things that went along with the story that I couldn't pass it up. Just for someone that high a power.
But he's the owner?
The general manager.
Why didn't he just say that?
You would think that, I don't know.
That would hold more weight than I'm a random security officer.
But the report also states that he told the officer he had consumed 2 beers while eating pizza an hour or two before being stopped. He refused the breathalyzer, declined a sobriety test. He was clearly in the wrong.
He's clearly drunk.
Yeah.
If you only had 2 beers, you would do the test because they just make you like point your nose or walk a line or do an ABC type thing. You can easily do that if you've had 2 beers, unless you weigh $111.
Yeah, so he's more than likely going to be facing some form of punishment or suspension from the NFL. So I think that's just something to keep an eye on because Arizona they just can't keep everything together. Falling apart out west.
All right, Rick, what do you got this week?
Mostly mine has to do more with what we're going to see next week. So as we're kind of taping this show for next week, we're going to kind of miss some things because it's actually going to be the All-Star game next week.
All-Star game.
So what I have to say is I think the rosters need to be expanded. I know a lot of people are saying they shouldn't be expanded or get rid of the one player. I think you should keep the one player so you're trying to get all fans to watch it, even though I don't care. I mean, there's been years where, if you remember correctly, Evan Meek was the player for the Pirates, and he was the guy who didn't play. He was one of the 2 players who didn't play in that game. So I mean, I would rather see the rosters expanded. I know today they were talking, and it finally happened to a guy who also was born on April 17th, 1984, that Jed Lowry finally gets in the game. My boy, Jed Lowry, finally gets in. one of the best players in the Major League Baseball doesn't get in because the coach has to pick and he didn't want him on the roster. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, and you could even have this right now. This is the rumor that's flying around. Manny Machado could be gone this weekend. Manny Machado is on the American League All-Star team. So he could be traded, and possibly the rumor is the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers have tons of prospects they can give up right now and get them. And they need the help because they don't have Seager, so they can use a bat to help them out. So, I mean, there's just so many goofy, weird things that can happen. That's why I think if you expand the rosters a little bit more, add 5 players, and I think there should be more reliance on middle relievers and specialists. I mean, if you add a couple more of those guys, you could help a team out. Run it more like a major league team, not so much have 8 starting pitchers, and 3 of them can't play because they threw 3 days ago, and that coach is going to sit there and cry and tell you, don't use them, or if you use them, you can only have them for 20 pitches because this would be a side session day. It's just stupid stuff. If you throw that pitcher who may be the effective guy, may be right. Look in Hence, Pirates. Is Vasquez the best pick? He's the best pick with a name. The pick should have been Kyle Crick. Kyle Crick was your best player. You know, he's a bullpen pitcher. He could throw 1 inning out of the bullpen, go a 7th inning, throw it very well, and that's what he's been doing all year. I mean, throw it, and that's it. That could be your guy to get you to your 8 and 9 guy. So you could have technically 2 closers. You could move a closer into the 8 and 9. So you could go with like maybe a Chapman or in a Vasquez, go 8-9, keep them both at 1 innings, make it a solid bullpen. Pretty much something like the Indians were doing, you know, and pretty much put them in the World Series. Make this solid bullpen that you can't touch us because we got this great bullpen. I mean, do it more like that. Make it more of an enjoyable game because it's not an enjoyable game to watch. That's why I like the NHL more because they do it more 3-on-3, more open ice, more passing. Make it more of making the precision passes, not so much putting a guy into the boards. I think that's why more people like the NHL. NBA, it's pretty much a dunk contest all over again with 5 guys on each side, you know, 5 and 5, and it's a dunk contest, and people don't even get down the court. AKA, look at any year Sean Kemp played, he didn't run down the other side. His fat ass didn't move. So, I mean, you got to do something to make it enjoyable. I mean, the home run derby was great last year in Miami because it's a ball-fly ballpark. So we'll see what happens in Washington. But I don't see the ball flying as much as it did in Miami. So,
well, Rick, you brought up some good points. I didn't realize that they had 8 starters in the All-Star game, and I will say, the 8 aside, right?
Too. And here's the other thing: you have the American League has Garrett Cole on the roster. He left today's game. He's on bereavement leave, and he may come back on Sunday. If he doesn't come back on Sunday and takes a longer break, he misses the All-Star game.
So if a guy is traded, what happens? Do you know?
He has the right to do what he wants to.
So it's a free-for-all.
So if he wants to, so technically he could go to the American League, he could play with the National League, or he could sit at home.
Well, if he does that, wouldn't it lopside the teams? They're not going to kick a guy out to accept them, right?
Or they could say that starting pitcher isn't going to play, so he'll take his spot.
I already hate it. And I will say, this is limited research, but as my fantasy baseball team will attest, there are not 16 all-star pitchers in a season. There just aren't. So why have that many? If at tops, I would say 5 starting pitchers aside, just like a rotation, to your point. And I think you should add extra closers in. Because they only pitch an inning anyway. At least closers are used to pitching every day. So you give them a day's rest, let them pitch, and you're going to get more of an exciting game instead of a pitcher spending all day warming up. The manager cries about it. And then he's like, he might not pitch, or my manager doesn't want me to pitch. Get closers in there. I'd love to see performance-enhanced pitchers like Chapman just out there throwing strikes, because that's what I want to see. And I bring that up because I was watching SportsCenter, and of course they had Alex Rodriguez on, and they introduced him as decorated all-star Alex Rodriguez. Why does he get a pass when my man Barry Bonds does not? And Barry Bonds never tested positive. He was never suspended. Nothing. He's in that one report that no one has seen, that one journalist came up with, and with all the fake news out there, I'm going to keep bringing it up because it pisses me off. Alex Rodriguez was busted. I'm pretty sure he was suspended. And then he's on TV, decorated all-star, awesome guy, Alex Rodriguez. He's out there, hey, I say thank you for letting me on the show. And he's out there, and no one cares. They're like, love you, Alex. Get my man Barry in the Hall of Fame. Get him out. See what happened with T.O.? I brought up last week. He's doing his Hall of Fame thing if it's not already happened because no one watches the Hall of Fame induction ceremony anyway. He was doing it at his college instead of at Canton, shithole, Ohio. So, boom. That's my end of my rant. All-Star Game pisses me off. I don't even care who plays. Get rid of it.
No, and I think the other thing, too, is when I remember when I went to the game in Pittsburgh, a lot of the players left. You could look at the dugouts. There was like nobody left. I can tell you for a fact, and by the 8th inning, I knew Vlad Guerrero walked out of the ballpark. It's like he got on a bus and went to the airport and got on a plane. I mean, I think if you want to change baseball and make it better for the All-Star Game, you expand the rosters and re-entry. You could re-enter for this game. You could re-enter a player. So let's say somebody like Altuve I may take out, put like a guy like Jed Lowry in to take his spot. But if I need a pinch runner because I got Gary Sanchez on first base, I can do a re-enter on Altuve, make him the pinch runner, do one re-entry per player, and then I can still re-enter Sanchez back in as a catcher.
It's already too many rules.
It's going to be crazy with all the re-entries, but it's something. You got to make it more special because why watch it? If you're a Vlad Guerrero fan, hey, he's gone by the 5th inning and he's at the Pittsburgh airport, so forget that. He's gone. I mean, that's the other thing. Barry Bonds, there was another guy, and a lot of these other guys like A-Rod and Jeter. They were gone by the 5th inning. It was guys like Michael Young and Matt Thornton playing the end of the game when it was in Pittsburgh.
These All-Star games...
Do you really want to see Matt Thornton in the 9th inning blow the game?
They're dinosaurs. They're relics. Yeah. They don't deserve to be in the game anymore. They were created at a time when TV only showed maybe one game a week. So the All-Star Game was the big baseball game. If kids only watched one game that summer, they were going to watch the All-Star Game. Now you can turn on TV any day, watch it. Same with the NFL All-Star Game. The only game that week, it was after the Super Bowl or whatever, I can't remember. They flipped it around a couple times. NBA was the All-Star. It was like one of the big ones that's on TV. But now that every game's on, there's no need for the All-Star Game. No one cares. You're not going to travel to see the All-Star Game because the players don't care. You're never going to get them to care again. In the NFL, they tried to, give them bonuses or something? They tried to do a cash prize, but you're already making so much money, the players really don't care. Why would you care for like a $50,000 bonus or $500,000, even if it's $500,000? Why would you care about that if you could be hurt and it's your contract year and you're making $10 million next year? It's a fraction of the cost. Yeah. They're not going to show up. Baseball, you blow out your arm, then what happens? You're done as a pitcher.
But I think there's also the other point to it that there's so many people that get to opt out. So you have your Pro Bowl, but then like you look at the NFL. Tom Brady elects not to play. Roethlisberger elects not to play. Rodgers is hurt. You have like your top 4 or 5 guys that should be playing in the game opt out for whatever reason, and now you're taking away who the best players are for this. So I think in some aspects it takes away from that format because you want your all-stars to be the cream of the crop, not, well, the first people we wanted decided not to play because of whatever petty reason.
Yeah. I think we spent too much time on it. We'll probably
watch a futures game, though. Futures game, definitely watch that. That's going to be the future MLB. I
do like that better, and I would like to see a juniors thing for NHL. I don't know if they do that. I know they do, like the under 18 team or whatever. But we'll circle back around that on next week, since it is next week during the show. Maybe we'll do something special since it'll be live. So check back that out next week. Let's get into the Steel City update. Steelers are going to report to training camp. They do it in Latrobe still.
Yep.
So that's going to be coming up. 25th, yeah. End of the month. So keep an eye on that. I think that's going to be a lot of the big storylines. Everyone's saying a healthy Ben Roethlisberger is going to push the team forward. We'll see. I mean, it comes down to that. He's going to miss a few games. I'm more interested in seeing how the backup quarterback battles go. I really want to see the kid from Oklahoma State because I really liked him, that pick.
Funny that you say that.
Rudolph.
I was just seeing as we were doing some pre-show stuff that he's out working. And they have video of him outside working, doing some extra stuff right now. I know some of it's, the glam stuff, but nonetheless, just to be out working this time of year where you really don't have to, I think that's a good sign of something that you want from your quarterback going into it.
Yeah, and I know Mike Gundy was always high on him. He's had a couple. They always say that he runs one of those systems. You're going to get a system quarterback. And he's had other quarterbacks that have been highly touted, but he seemed to be really high on Rudolph, and I think that's saying things. That the Steelers would pick a guy from a system, technically a system quarterback, that high. Because if you remember guys like Colt Brennan, I think he played at Hawaii, get the records,
Right. You're
in a system. Teams usually don't draft you that high. So the fact that they reached, I trust the Steelers front office, so I'll just say that. Penguins, we have some NHL stuff flipping around. We're going to hit on the NHL free agency later in the week. Rick, you have anything to add since you've been out?
I like their signings so far, but I know we'll talk a little bit about that during free agency. But I like their signings. I was hoping for more. That's all I'll say.
All right, Pirates, of course. What is it? 6 games under 500 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Down slump. The bullpen gets lit up. It seems like every other day.
All right, hold on. I want to go in a different direction with this. With the Pirates, we know that they're a dumpster fire.
I'm just filling people in that don't watch, because why would you keep a track? You listen to the show to see if things are turning around, and then you're going to tune in.
No, you're not. If you're tuning in just for the Steel City update to see what the Buccos are doing, here, I'll help you. They're doing terrible. But it's so bad in so many places. Where do you even begin to fix something like the Pirates right now? What do you think?
Wow, good question.
Personally,
I don't understand their hitting approach. When their approach comes to hitting, they take pitches when they shouldn't. When they see pitchers struggling, they're taking pitches, which I agree. But if also something's in there, you got to swing. You can't take strike one, even the pitchers. They take too many pitches, and they take too many good pitches for strikes that are definite strikes. You use the bullpen way too much. Your bullpen arms are dead. A lot of your guys are dead. When you're bringing guys in for a 4th game this week for pitching, they're dead. You can't keep doing that on a daily basis. Rodriguez, dead arm. Crick's gonna be a dead arm here soon. Lucky enough, Crick was a starter. Crick was a starter most of his minor league career. I mean, Vasquez has been overused. Everybody in that bullpen is like overused central, and now they're just getting lit up like a piñata. Neverauskas, we use him way too much. He's terrible. He sucked all year. I mean, he should be in AAA. And now you're bringing up guys like Alex McRae out of the AAA, who's coming up to pitch, who's a starter down there. Yeah, the guy can pitch more innings, but you're killing your minor league system, and you're pitching bullpen. I mean, like, I'll give you an example. Altoona and both Indianapolis are pitching when they're having when they have doubleheaders, they do 7 innings. So what they're doing is pretty much going a bullpen day because you don't have that starter because he's in the majors pitching in a bullpen. I mean, they're just killing their arms, and they don't realize how stupid they are. And let's be honest, Jeff Branson sucks as a coach. Sucks. He can't teach hitting. And if they can teach hitting, it's not seeing it. And Ray Surridge being this witch doctor guru bullshit, I would say if one thing needs to end in Pittsburgh this year, Ray Surridge, witch doctor, great bullpen, needs to be put in the damn river and needs to go the hell down to Ohio. Because it's done. He's great pitching in Ohio because the Reds guys paid us pretty good. Let's be honest. I'm tired of that. Just tired. tired of the Ray Surge as a guru. If he's such a guru, why is Rodriguez's arm dead? Why is Garrett Cole amazing? Why is Charlie Morton like Jesus on the mound now, when with us, he was like a leopard? Let's go. He had like leprosy pitching. He's terrible. I mean, come on. Come on. We're sending all-star pitchers to other teams. Why does Nova have a 5-year rank? Let's be honest. Oh, by the way, as I'm ranting about how great our pitching is, Ray Surridge just gave a pep talk to Joe Musgrove about how to throw. Let it be known the guy just put one in the stands. Thanks, Ray. Clint's on a phone. I don't know who he's calling, but I recommend Domino's because this thing's going to be a while now. Oh, that thing was nice. It was a perfect dead center fastball. And I believe this is Mark Reynolds with that swing. No, Anthony Rendon. I was wrong with it. But yeah, I mean, I'm tired of it. So if I would start again, I would possibly think about getting rid of some coaches, but they won't do that because it's the Pirates in the middle of the year. So I don't know what I'd do. Maybe sign some guys.
Yeah, draft or free agency. Ball. If you had to pick one, draft or free agency.
Well, at this point, the draft's done, so you got to go free agents. And if you're going free agents, you're going independent ball.
Well, let's hold on, Rick. This is like a 5-year rebuild. Let's not. But
if we're talking this year, you got to go independent. If you're talking next year, I would possibly looking at some new assistant coaches, and I would also be. I would be signing guys to minor league contracts who may have flamed out in other places, but also may have give them another shot. I mean, look, Philly gave Charlie Morton another shot. He did all right with them, and then Astros gave him another shot, and now he's an all-star. So, I mean, I'd be looking at different guys. I don't think they signed enough arms throughout the season, and they've had too many injuries, too. So that's where I would start, getting arms. You're going to get rid of Mercer at the deadline, let's be honest. Mercer's gone. Kevin Newman's up. Thank God. David Freese should go. Maybe Japan's an option. Mexican League. Possibly a beer league, softball league somewhere in western Pennsylvania is also an option. But, I mean, there's so many things. You got to bring team ball players. You got to bring guys who can play like 3 or 4 positions. That's what the Astros do. That's what other teams do, like Oakland. You can't get a guy who can only play one position. He's got to play at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, that is the best route to go. So, all right, that's it. Kind of depressing end to the Steel City update. Let's go ahead, keep that theme with the LaShawn McCoy accusations. Brought it up earlier. I wanted to make it its own point. LaShawn McCoy, Pittsburgh guy, went to the University of Pitt for college. He was a Pitt Panther. Ended up, he was with the Eagles for a while, even though they're technically a rival in some aspects. Definitely a friendly rivalry in state. Now he's up in Buffalo, still close. And it comes out, of course, the media reports it right away that he beat his girlfriend. That's the first thing I see. And I just want to put it out there. I get alerts, like my phone starts blowing up. It's like, wow, did you see the pictures of LaShawn McCoy's girlfriend? And it was an Instagram post by her friend. And I hate these accusations because you're taking a photo of a girl on social media and they're posting it like it's the gospel. It's what happened. Well, LaShawn McCoy comes out and says, I haven't even seen her in months. So now the police report comes out after his statement, and they're saying that it was a home invasion at, 3:18 or 3:22 a.m., and they came in. That's when she got attacked. They said they think it was targeted as they took certain items or something that made it seem that it was a targeted attack. And if he's saying that he wasn't there, they're really only going on hearsay. And that's why I hate the early reports. You're reporting on a guy's livelihood. And I'm definitely not defending him, and I'm not defending domestic abuse. Because we don't know it seems like it was a robbery at this point. So you're throwing around domestic abuser at him. They also threw around some other accusations, performance-enhancing drugs and other drugs.
Illegal substances.
I think they said he kicked the dog until it had kidney failure. Like, they're very weird, kind of unrelated things all in one big post. So, I don't know. But I just hate the fact that we talked about it at the top of the show. Everything now, they just start the speculation. Maybe he had CTE. That's been thrown around. We saw that.
Maybe he was just hungry. Maybe he should have just had a Snickers.
I mean, I don't know. I just hate the reporting. Like, it's a guy's name. That's basically, at the end of the day, that's what you have is your name, and they're just going to slander it. Now, if you search his name, the first 20 pages are all the same copycat headlines, updated 4 hours after they had already put that he is basically a domestic abuser. So sad. I definitely want to talk about it. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add in, but I wanted to cover it on the show. Rick, you talked about it earlier. You have anything else?
I mean, there is the thought of innocent until proven guilty. I mean, I know me and Mrs. Rick, one of our huge fans, we watch Forensic Files. If you ever watch a TV show, they usually have like a fingerprint or a camera or something, a blood stain or something. I mean, I'm more interested in those things nowadays. I'm more interested, like, is there fingerprints there of him? Do we have a neighbor that could put him at the I saw him. He was there at 4:00. I saw him with my own eyes. I was walking my dog and saw him walk in the house. I mean, those are things I'm more interested in. I'm not interested in what you put on Instagram. I did read the police report because the police have to report what they are told and what's correct and what they view and what they see and what they take pictures of and what they analyze of. But, I mean, I'm more interested in the forensics. I'm more interested. Now, they said he was in Miami, which this attack happened in Georgia, and they say the time frame works out okay. Okay. It's not like he was in Hawaii and this attack happened in Georgia. The time frames don't match up or something, So I don't know. I'll believe it when more things come about and everything. This wasn't like they caught, he was, X person was robbing the bank and they caught him in the bank, the police caught him in the bank. It wasn't like they caught him at the act, so I don't know what to believe, don't know how to believe. Maybe they're going to find a blood stain or a fingerprint or something that gives it away, but we'll wait and see.
Well, I'll say
or
this.
They could find it the other way. Find a fingerprint and prove it's not him. It's, some random person down the road,
You made a good point. We have to look at it to even talk about it on the show. You have to have a police report. I'm not just going to bring in something random that we saw, like through hearsay or another thing. We're not like a clickbait type site like some of those other ones. But it very similar reminds me of, was it Terrence Williams, receiver for the Cowboys last year? If you remember, Cowboys cut him. He was alleged robbery in Virginia. It turns out he was in a totally different state. Something with flying. He was afraid of flying or something. And they were kind of like, yeah, we already cut you. So, sorry, bro. That's kind of what it seems like here. And in this world, unfortunately, with social media, you're guilty immediately. And it should be the other way around, Rick. You brought it up. Innocent until guilty. And unfortunately now, we can only report what we have. You have the facts, whatever the police said. That's it. We don't know if he was there. Maybe he has an alibi. I mean, obviously he's not going to put that into public. You've got to definitely do a lawyer for anyone. But that's what it seems like to me. I remember I think his name was Terrence Williams. I could be wrong on the name, but...
You're right on the name.
Yeah. He got thrown under the bus, and he got cut, and they had nothing on him. So...
Well, I think that also when you look at this, we just talked on the show last week, the Janoris Jenkins incident?
It was either one of the last 2 weeks, yeah.
Following up on that story, it just said that authorities have charged a New Jersey man with aggravated manslaughter. So they did find someone else. It wasn't related to Janoris Jenkins, but it was whoever was staying at his house. Those people had some form of connection. So, I mean, I think it's not outside the realm of possibility that someone else has access to LaShawn McCoy's house or wherever that incident took place. and to speculate on it, who knows who's going in and doing whatever. So it could go either way. I think that a lot of times people want to be the first to report the story as opposed to being right. And I wish that they would get it right first before pushing out stories that could hurt someone's career or future.
And I'll tell you, here's a little trick too. If you want to see, just go into Google, type in like LaShawn McCoy, click on their news tab. The first, you'll see, if you start to do this for any topic that comes up, any news story, take the headline, copy and paste it into Google, click on their news tab, and you will see a lot of the newspapers run the same exact headline. And they do it because they're not reporting. And that's where, you see the word floating around, the fake news stuff. That's how you can tell who's fake news and who's not. Because someone's out there doing the reporting, and every other site's out there just copying and pasting the same article or buying it from the Associated Press Newswire, which is the other thing. So I hate to see it. Good segue, because the next one I have is the Terps under attack. And Yahoo, a site that I didn't even think, to be honest, was credible for news, they did some investigations back in February or so. They did the FBI scandal in the college basketball world. And they attacked, Kansas, Maryland, off the top of my head. There was 30 schools. I remember the Kansas and Maryland one because they fought over, was it D'Souza or someone? And they actually had a paper trail where they were in a bidding war with Under Armour and Adidas for the service of his services. And Maryland was also tagged with paying Diamond Stone. And again, these are just allegations. Well, Yahoo wrote an article, I think, was it last week, Friday or so, or Maryland did. They apparently reached out using the Freedom of Information request law, where you can go ahead and they're public universities, you can submit a request. So they did their due diligence. They were actually doing reporting. And like I said, I didn't even think Yahoo hired people to do journalism. I assumed they were just aggregating news from the Associated Press and selling ads on it, and then linking to whoever the newspaper was, Washington Post, New York Times, whoever. Well, apparently they had someone floating around trying to get these requests. Well, Maryland never answered, and they waited until after this FBI thing, and either did Kansas, and it's been floating out now that they've been delaying these requests for information and have been saying it's due to the privacy of athletes or whatever. Basically, students at the university, you can't give away information if they're in another investigation. And I think they named that the FBI subpoenaed records for these students. So already the FBI is still looking into these cases, and it could be a lot more serious than what was originally reported, because it's already at least two schools now. It's come out. Kansas and Maryland were the two that I saw digging into it earlier. I think I did the research on this yesterday. So there could be more. I didn't have time to look into it today. But two schools, FBI's looking into them. It could start to blow up college basketball. Because after the tournament, I kind of got distracted when Michigan made their run, runners up. Great season for our boys. You're looking at a team, other teams that were out there. Kansas was in the Final Four. They're under this investigation. I thought they was going to be swept under the rug because they launched in February and you didn't hear anything now. But Yahoo's coming back and saying, hey, if you're going to deny a request, we're just going to publish it. And we're going to let everyone know that you're going to be on blast, because if you see, let's say elections are coming up in November, you start to see politicians at these schools are doing that, you better believe that it's going to start to pick up some steam. So college basketball world, look out. Don't know if you guys have anything else, but I just wanted to bring it up because I know we talked about it a few times. And Big Ten, we covered Big Ten and ACC. Big Ten Maryland was definitely named, and they're under attack.
Well, I think the way that they brought that up before, or as we were talking about it before, I think there's so many people and it goes so far that eventually it's just going to be one of those where it's just going to get swept under the rug.
Well, the big one with this, and this is where I think the money's going to come into, it comes down to basically taxes. Because the amounts they were giving these guys, It's not just like, here's $100 here, here's $200 here, which is like what, $20 in taxes. They're giving guys $100,000 here, $50,000 here. That's a couple $1 million a year. That the government's not getting what, $30,000 in taxes now. So of course the FBI is going to look into it, and it's going to be a heavy hitting process because they're going to go after. At first, it only looked like it was going to be Adidas. This Maryland thing looks like it's looping in Under Armour. And who's next? We talk about it, the opening with Nike, the big three, in at least the United States in apparel for athletics. Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour, I think, hold deals with most of the universities, who are public institutions. You're getting away paying taxes. You're giving away just free cash or whatever. I would assume that's what what the FBI is looking at. And I would hate for some kid that comes from an underpoverished whatever, they need the money. Like their mom's like, what was the guy from Ole Miss? He said that the coaches were paying for his, was it Laramie Tunsil? I know he did the weed smoking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was him too, where he said that the coaches were paying his mother's electricity bill because they couldn't afford it. I'd really hope that that's not the reason behind it, that they're going after taxes from people like that. But in the grand scheme of things, I really think that they're targeting these big companies, these apparel companies. So that's why I don't think it's going to go away. And I really hope it doesn't go across into other sports. Because there's an AAU circuit, basically, or some type, 7-on-7 for football, some other, what is it, AYSO for soccer. Like they have little clubs like this for every sport. And it's not going to take away from a team here or a team there. I don't want to see Maryland go down. They were supposed to help boost up the Big Ten. Have they? Nah. They've been a complete shit show, basketball-wise, in the Big Ten. I mean, Christ. If Michigan is the number 2 sport for basketball, they should not be doing better than Maryland when that's like their main sport. And you can't tell me that they've been winning in lacrosse because no one watches lacrosse. I looked at the attendance for that. It was like 1,000.
Although Florida State's about to hopefully add lacrosse, maybe that's just another sport we'll just cherry pick.
Well, wasn't that a Native American sport to begin with? With a name like Seminoles, I think they would have been on the forefront of that sport. I don't know. You guys have anything to add?
No, that's good.
Rick,
It's all about the money. I mean, in sports, it's all about the money. And the one thing is the government, if they're getting gypped in money, they're going to figure out a way. It may take them a while, but they're going to figure out a way how they get their money.
Yeah.
They're going to figure out a way to get the money.
They're not just
and you're going to have
after
less, but they're going to figure out a way. The government's always been that way, and this is the thing. They're going to figure out everything. They're not going to only get 50% and say, okay, we're done, we got this. They're going to want the 100%. So we're going to take our good old time. We're going to do it and everything along these lines. And that's exactly why. I mean, you look at a state like, I can take Pennsylvania, for example. We're adding more casinos because we're losing too much money to Jersey, to West Virginia, Maryland. So we're adding casinos because we need to make money. We're also in a declining population state. We need to make money. We're going to add casinos. We're going to have license. We're going to make you pay big bucks. We're going to tax you to death.
Sports
We're
gambling,
going to make
Rick.
our money. So the government's going to make our money back.
Sports gambling. That's going to be our new segment.
Yeah, but again, it's another way to make money, to get taxed and everything along those lines. And we're going to kill the outsiders, a.k.a. those people who went to those offshore, Jamaicas and all those other ones that we don't own, all those islands. I can't
New
even
Jersey
think
right
of all
away. As soon as New Jersey passed it, I knew Pennsylvania would have to pass it.
They would
Because
have to
you
pass
can't have
because they
people
knew
from Philly
everybody
going
from
across.
Philadelphia would just go to Jersey.
Yeah, you can't have people from Philly driving 30 minutes or whatever it would take.
Yeah, there's too much of a connection between Philadelphia and Jersey already. You got to do it because where's your biggest state or biggest city and biggest population, biggest counties in Pennsylvania is Jersey, in Philadelphia and Montgomery County and all those, so they could go right to Jersey. So, I mean, it won't surprise me they're going to come after it. I think they are. I don't know to what extent and everything, but again, government always wants their money.
Yeah.
And they're not somebody that's a non-profit, so that's pretty much the only way government can't. So they're not a church or I'm trying to think of one. Salvation Army, I think gets away with it too. I don't know. They They may not. They may be for profit now.
You thinking Goodwill?
Maybe Goodwill is. I can't think. St. Vincent de Paul. That's the one. St. Vincent de Paul is
slamming all
actually
these companies
for profit. No, the other two are for profit. St. Vincent de Paul is not. Yeah. So I mean, for taxes wise, so they're going to come after you, not unless you're non for profit, which is pretty tough. You know,
Well,
to
that's
get
like
that
I said.
status.
They're not going to
You
go
have to
through
be
the
a
Diamond
choice, right?
Stone. I mean, who's the guy
Yeah.
Penn State had? Freeman or whatever.
It wasn't a starter. I can remember that part.
Yeah,
It was a role player guy.
they're not going to go after individual guys. But I would
No.
imagine, like, what happens in the Michigan State case where Tom Izzo did that pony show where they had the kid come back and pay the $20 or whatever, the $200 that he took. If you remember that, right before the NCAA tournament, they're like, "Hey, Miles, why don't you come back and pay us back that dinner that you got for free?" He came back, did the handshake, and then they're like, "Hey, guess what? You're cleared." You really think the FBI is going to be like, "Oh, all's good now"? Like, no, they were going after the money in the first place. They don't give a shit if he plays in the NCAA tournament. That's not them. They don't care about those wins. They care about the money. What does him paying back Michigan State have to do with anything? Like, they're going after the taxes for that income for him. Now what? They really screwed the NCAA out of, or the FBI out of, or I guess the United States government out of what was it? $400 dinner, something like that. $40. What's the tax rate? I don't even know. So like something like that. Like it's going to be. It's not going to be. It's going to be bigger because they're going after the money. They want the money. It's not about eligibility, and that's what's really going to heat up. If it comes back around March Madness and it starts to do a thing where every year, this isn't going to be a one-year cycle. Remember how long the Tar Heels were investigated, and they even were on academic probation, which is like unheard of for a massive university. And I still see people trying to sweep that under the rug. I just saw someone post that. Yeah, we might have been on academic probation, but it wasn't really that serious. But any school that has been on academic probation, like, raise your hand. I guarantee none of the schools we've went to have been on academic probation.
Double secret probation.
Yeah, it was like an Animal House
double
skit.
C.
Yeah, that's exactly what it reminded me of. But let's change gears here. Get into Rick. You want to start off with the NHL free agency? You were out, so what do you got this week?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been here for a little bit of time frame, but I mean, especially with the NHL. I mean, I mentioned this earlier. I like what the Penguins did. Jack Johnson does help him out, gives him a second. He'll be on your secondary defense. The main rule is to get Letang less time defense because if you watch in the playoffs, it was ice capades. He wasn't that good. So you want to get Jack Johnson. You want to get guys more time because you're really, I mean, you have really 5 solid defensemen now. You have Johnson, Dumoulin, Letang, Mata. I'm missing the
You mean like only 2 or 3?
No, Letang, Jack Johnson, Mata, Dumoulin. Oh, Justin Schultz. There's your 5 guys. So you have a good solid 5 guys right there. I mean, so the main thing is, and I see Schultz probably doing the number 1 power play again, because he did well in that role. So, I mean, getting Jack Johnson does help. The 5 years is the weird part, but whatever. So it is what it is. But you got Sheahan back. You got Rust on a long-term deal and everything. So, I mean, you have a lot of those guys coming back, which should help you too. The real winner I see in this, a team that really got better, was Winnipeg. They got Snazny. I mean, that was a guy they needed. They needed an extra firepower. They needed an extra guy. That's your extra guy. Or wait, no, I screwed that up. Vegas. I cannot believe I did that.
He's back from vacation, guys.
Vegas. I said Winnipeg. I'm like, no, wait, he played there at the end of the year for the playoffs. No, it was Vegas. Vegas needed the firepower. They need another scorer. That's what they lacked against Washington. Washington had more scores and better defense. Snazzy will definitely help out that team, and I think that'll be good for them. So, it is a loss for Winnipeg.
You can't have a free agency team be competitive for more than 1 year. Or whatever, expansion team. Like, it's not possible.
No, and that's the nice thing with the NHL. You have so much. You can go up and down so quickly. And I mean, they were talking about first day signings of some of these teams. I'm like, these teams suck. No wonder these guys signed here. Line with Matthews being on the first line. So I would say biggest winner overall
Still going.
would be the Maple Leafs that get Tavares so they could be on that second line with Matthews. So, but we get to see Grandpa back, Collins back, if anybody was caring or wondering. So, but that's my main things of the NHL free agency period. My Sabres do get better too. We get Carter.
I don't know if we cut out Rick or if we're still recording or what, but our screen just went black, so I've been messing around with it. Just to give you a heads up, it sounded like you were still going. But, we had a bunch of other stuff to get caught up on with the NBA free agency, but I don't even know if we're recording, so we might just have to call it a show and then catch up on these things next week. Because Rick just went out. Facebook says we're still live, but we're definitely...
We can do that. I'm fine with that.
Are you still on?
He's still there.
Can you hear us?
I'm still here. I can hear you. I don't have a picture, but I can hear you.
I don't know what happened. The screen went blank. I thought... So my computer has... It's set up to do a screensaver in the corner. And of course, I've been bringing up different things because the new Skype freezes you if you're down in the corner. And I thought maybe I did it. So, of course, I tried to do it, bring the computer down. Probably looked like a garbage crash. Me swinging my computer around like a crazy man trying to log back in. And I have no idea. As soon as I set it back up, it went black again. And I definitely had the mouse at the top. But you're still on, Rick? Let's just say
I'm still
recording.
on, and apparently you cannot hear or see me.
Oh.
On the live version.
Don't know.
We don't know then.
I see you, though.
Let me check on you guys.
Could you hear you the whole time? Because it looked like you were working the whole time.
I was talking. I just kept going. I figured just keep going.
Well, I figured we might have froze, but it should still be recording a backup copy locally on the computer.
What's the thing? The show must go on. So I decided the show must go on.
What's your NBA stuff?
By the way, it's 5-0 in the Pirate game now. Ray talked to Stephen Brault, and then he walked in. Mark Reynolds walked with bases loaded.
Well, according to our clock, we have about 6 minutes left. So your LeBron stuff.
Well, she can see you. Melissa can see you guys, but can't hear a word you're saying.
Interesting. Because I did a test, so I don't know if we froze out, but we'll see what happens. You want to hit on your LeBron stuff? We'll finish the last 6 minutes. Okay.
Well, mostly what I have to say about the NBA is, I mean, we see a lot of guys go. Lakers trying to make a super team now. But I will say this. I really like more what Golden State did.
Well, I think of course Golden State.
What?
Golden State lucked out. And the Lakers are not building a super team.
It's going to help them out so much. That was really what they needed, a Cousins on that team. So.
They didn't need anybody, Rick. They're back-to-back champs, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. But I think this also proves reason why I don't care about the NBA basketball is because you make super teams, and really, who's going to beat Golden State right now? Really, I'm being honest. Who's going to beat them? Oh, wait, nobody.
LeBron almost went to the Sixers. That's why when Rick said about putting this on, did you see that hit piece they put out? And the only reason they did that was to try to put collusion out. Because they went after Magic Johnson already this season for tampering. And so I guarantee that they wrote that 76ers article, because I don't even recognize the site I sent you. I guarantee that that's some narrative that they weren't tampering with LeBron. Because like I said, LeBron had already enrolled his kids in LA school, so he knew he was moving there. Before he signed...
and Gary Payton's like, oh yeah, he's coming out here. Oh yeah, LeBron's coming here. His kid's playing out here with my kid. It's like, come on, we already know this. And then ESPN's trying to hype the story. I'm like, come on, you already know this.
Well, at least he learned from his decision. Because you can't say he's a great businessman after that stupid decision thing he did in Miami. But what's the other thing? The team they brought around him is looking worse than the Cavaliers did. At least with the Cavs, he had Kyrie Irving. Lonzo Ball, whatever that dude's name is, he's not even close to Kyrie Irving.
Not even close.
My God, he's closer to, I don't even know. I don't even want to, I was going to say J.R. Smith, but I think J.R. Smith's way better than him.
I'd rather have J.R. Smith.
I mean, that's clear cut, and that's going on saying something after LeBron hates him.
Yeah, that's spot on. And you're saying about Lonzo Ball,
I don't even know which one it is.
I saw his brother Lamelo signing like the JBL or like I think the league that their dad's trying to put on. He signed with the LA team in that league, so he's one step closer to having all of the Ball brothers playing for the Lakers.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. If I was a dad that had kids like that, I would be super pumped that I could start my own league and have them play in. Let's be honest, like, yeah, they're professional athletes. The JBL, or whatever he called it. That just seems like such a dad thing to do.
I have my own shoes, my own shirt.
Yeah, we're sponsored. Big Bowler Bread. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's like a dad just put together these sham little things, and he's like, yeah, my he's an all-star little leaguer. It's from the team I sponsor and the team that I coach and I recruit from the area. That's kind of what it is, but it's just at a bigger level because it's like professional basketball instead of little league.
This is why, circling back to the Terps under attack, this is why you have that happening. People are being recruited under Big Baller.
That's why. Could you imagine if Ball was the guy? Because remember he was saying that he's going to help Big Baller Brand come out. What if he's the leaker? Because there were rumors that it was him. And I know, talked about the Shady McCoy thing about not going innocent until proven guilty. But Ball did say that you're going to hear from me. And he would have the inside information. 3 kids getting recruited. UCLA, where they went, is an Adidas school. And that's the one they have the most information on. So wouldn't it be funny if he was the guy? I would laugh so hard and I would gain respect. I would try to get him on this show, even though he'd probably be untouchable at that point. Even though I said we should never talk about him. That would be the biggest troll level of all time. I would gain mad respect.
Take down Adidas just so you can raise prices on your own expensive shoes.
Just to build Big Bowler Brand. Those will be the ones that are at TJ Maxx after 2 years. I don't even know. It's getting crazy now. The last thing I had was World Cup, dude. It's kind of turning into a snoozer. I was pumped on Uruguay, but France, the all-around team, shut them down. I think they're playing Belgium, and it seems like that side's going to be way better. The other side, you have Croatia, and Croatia. We talked about it. They just don't lose. They don't lose, and they're playing England. England got the easy draw, and will they be disappointed? It looks like England's the weakest of the 4 remaining teams, but that doesn't mean anything in soccer. 1 yellow card, 1 penalty kick can flip the team, and they're pretty consistent. I would say defensively enough that they can be in a position to win. So it should be an exciting match. Going into it, would you have picked those 4 teams? Hell no. No one would have picked France, Belgium, Croatia, and England. There's no way. Like for Belgium to beat Brazil, I thought Brazil had a chance to claim it. Belgium now seems to be the favorite to me, but you can't count on France. So I would say that's my game to watch if you're going to watch one of the games. And then, of course, the championship. Could you imagine France, England? Have to do wonders for their ratings. You can get a weird one, Belgium, Croatia. Will people tune in for that? I don't know. That's my last thoughts. I don't know if the last show has been recorded, but we can go around. I have the final bell on here. I had no final thoughts. My last one was World Cup, so I just made it a topic. Matt, you have anything?
Yeah, I saw our boy Ronaldo signed like a gazillion-dollar deal. So he's taking his talents after getting bounced in the World Cup and parlaying that into some straight cash money. So spend it out.
Yep, make that money while you can. Rick, you got anything? Are you even still there?
I am still there, and apparently I'm also on Facebook right now, so I am still here. So
you're live. They just can't hear us?
I guess. No, I think they can hear everything and see everything. It's just we can't see each other, so whatever.
Oh, I can see you.
I guess it's like a newscast. We can't see each other, but we can get it done.
So you can't see us.
But, yeah, I can't see you. You guys are a blue screen. But all I got to say is Mrs. Rick and I got to see some independent baseball, so I recommend it if you have an independent team near you. Definitely go out and support them. You can see guys of the past who used to play or trying once again for contracts. So
is that AAA?
Very good. They're AAA independent. So if you follow me on Instagram, I also sent some pictures over to Rich. We went and saw York Revolution, also Lancaster Barnstormers. So out in the mid part of Pennsylvania. So out kind of in our country land. So
did they play the Durham Bulls?
No, the Independent A. So
that's
AAA.
I'm thinking International League.
Yeah, you're in the International League when you're talking about Durham Bulls, Charlotte Knights, all those guys who are actually affiliated with a major league team. These guys are not. So these guys are trying to get contracts, so and that's why I mentioned to
softball.
Matt.
They're like the JBL of minor league baseball.
Yeah, well, these guys actually played in the majors, so they're looking to try to get contracts to go back. That's when Matt asked that question, who do you grab? These guys are who you grab. I mean, like Dustin Beeler, or Dallas Beeler, who was a pitcher for the Cubs, was the pitcher of the day previous. He was sitting around the bullpen. I mean, he got signed the next day by the Cubs. He's now in their AAA, to my knowledge. So, I mean, guys like that are getting signed pretty quick because teams like the Cubs need arms. So, I mean, why not for the teams like the Pirates? You know, if you need an arm, you can go get it. You know, it's there. You know, these guys are available and hungry and want to play and give it a second shot. I mean, years ago, you look at a guy like Rich Hill. He was in this league. You know, he gets signed halfway through the league, goes to plays for Boston in AAA, makes it to the majors, and now he's a millionaire again because Dodgers gave him tons of money 2 years ago and signed a massive contract. So, I mean, he's in their rotation. So, I mean, guys do pan out and work out that are in this league. So, I mean, guys like Jose Canseco played in this league. Ruben Sierra. Carl Everett,
like the
Rob
biggest
Makoviak. I mean, those are some of the older guys who played in the league. I mean, Jerome Williams, who played for the Astros 2 years ago, played in the Atlantic League. I mean, there are guys out there who have played in the majors who are there now.
All right, very cool. Yeah, we've been sharing those on Instagram, Southbound Sports. Looking to post some extra stuff on Facebook, Southbound Sports. Obviously, we do it live every Tuesday at 9, so you can check us out there. Twitter, S-Bound Sports. I'm getting ready to start getting back into sharing more stuff because we're approaching the best time of the year, football season. So we'll have we'll cover some All-Star stuff next week. I'll be back in my studio. We'll have the media days. I looked at the schedule. That's coming up around the same time I think the Steelers are opening training camp and the other NFL teams are reporting. So going to have an exciting few weeks coming up. So check us out. Like I said, Southbound Sports on Facebook and Instagram, S-Bound Sports on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.